Are you ready? Because the Redzone Podcast starts now. Welcome to episode 17 of the Redzone Podcast. I'm your host, Emmanuel Point du jour. And today we're going to be talking about playoff scenarios and this week in the CFL. The Calgary Stampeders have a bye week this week. That really, I don't think will come into play because Calgary's season is winding down right now and looking like they will not be making the playoffs. They lost to Hamilton last week. They lost to Montreal the week before. You could say two back-to-back must-win games that Calgary really came out flat in both of them. You could say Montreal, they came out pretty good, but a pick, an interception by Jake Maier really just sealed that game away, and Montreal never looked back. And then Hamilton, just no offensive consistency at all. And defense, they tried their hardest, just couldn't get a stop for the offense, and the offense just really struggled. And the onside kick near the end of the game there didn't recover, and it led to a TiCats win, which dropped Calgary to 4-11 now, which is tied for the worst record in the CFL. But even with all of that, even with them tied and losing about 4 in a row, I think right now, they would still not be out. They still would have a chance after this weekend because none of the scenarios have the Stampeders being eliminated. I'll tell you the scenarios for the West Division. With a Saskatchewan win, there is no potential crossover, and that would mean Edmonton and Ottawa are eliminated from playoff contention. So that's with a Saskatchewan win. With an Edmonton loss, Edmonton would be out of playoff contention after a pretty good push there by the Elks with Trey Ford giving them some life, giving them some hope. But with a loss now, they would be out. And it's probably just too late timing for the Elks. If they would have had this earlier, or if they would have started Trey Ford a little bit earlier in the year, maybe they would have had a chance for playoffs, but it may have just been too late. Let's hop over to the East Division. With a Montreal win and a Hamilton loss, Montreal will host the Eastern semifinals in Montreal on Saturday, November 4th, and an Ottawa loss would mean they are out of playoffs. The Redblacks would be done, and they come off I think they came off a win this past weekend. No, it was the week before that. They came off a win. They almost came off their second straight win in a row against BC, but blew the lead. I think we talked about that, and that was just not good for the Ottawa Redblacks because if any chance they wanted to maybe sneak into the playoffs, kind of ended, and it started with that 7 to 8 game losing streak for Ottawa. They never really recovered. It was actually following those 2 games where Dustin Crum was the talk of the town, and then it all plummeted from there. 7 to 8 game losing streak. Teams started figuring out, oh wait, Dustin Crum, he's only really a runner, not much of a passer, and started putting QB spies on him and started figuring him out. So Ottawa now sitting at 4-11 really doesn't have much of a chance past this week. And now let's get into the actual games this weekend because there are some very good games on tap and some scenarios that need to be answered. So the first game is the Elks, and they'll visit the Toronto Argonauts on Friday Night Football at 7 p.m. Eastern. For Edmonton, again, a loss means they are done. For Toronto, this is just cruising right now. They're just on cruise control until the playoffs start. They, are probably going to start Cameron Dukes at quarterback, rest Chad Kelly some more. I don't know. Maybe they start Chad Kelly in this game just to give him some reps before the playoffs. Maybe he'll just go about a half in that game. They lost to Winnipeg last week, where they actually had the lead for, I think, the majority of the game, and then Winnipeg kind of took over and ended the game with the run game and Brady Oliveira running wild. I think he had like 169 yards. Yeah, he's definitely in consideration for MOP as a running back. He's definitely in the conversation for that because he's been really good for that Winnipeg team. Seems like they're really starting to get that run game going after years of being this passing team, especially with their receivers there in Nick Dembski, in Kenny Lawler, in Dalton Schoen. So they're really starting to run the ball and having a great running game and having great success with that. So we'll see what happens there. But speaking about Brady Oliveira and those Winnipeg Blue Bombers, the most important game this week, the most entertaining game this week, especially in the West Division, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers go into BC to invade the BC Lions. This is a very important game, especially for first place in the Western Division. This would ultimately maybe determine who gets that bye, who gets that West final bye. And it could be very important. BC, obviously, they're trying to surpass Winnipeg. They split the season series. Vernon Adams Jr., he is on a tear lately. These 300-yard games, he's starting to rack them up. Even 400-yard games, he's starting to rack them up and put his name in the MOP conversation. And then Zach Collaros, obviously, for the past, 4 years, he's been in the MOP conversation, if not winning it. Even won it over Nathan Rourke, who had a great 2022, record-breaking numbers for the first half of the year before the injury. It would have been interesting if he finished that year, what his numbers would have looked like, and I think he probably takes home the most outstanding player award. So that's going to be a very important game for the MOP race and for the playoff race and for that bye week for the West Final. The next game, Saturday, the first Saturday game, is the Tiger Cats and the Rough Riders. Actually, there's no second Saturday game, so this is the only Saturday game. Tiger Cats and Rough Riders in Saskatchewan. The Tiger Cats obviously coming off a win against the Calgary Stampeders, and the Rough Riders kind of going downhill right now with a loss against BC in BC. So, I mean, Calgary, their chances are slim and slim, but if Saskatchewan loses another one and then they win next week, you're right back in it. It's just it's weird because you would think, right, we're probably done with this, one game would probably knock us out here, but nope, we're still in it even with whatever result this Saskatchewan game, if Saskatchewan wins or if Saskatchewan loses, Calgary would still be in the hunt. But yeah, Rough Riders looking to get back on track, looking to secure that third place spot, and a win would go probably a long ways in doing so for the Rough Riders. And then the final game of the weekend is on Monday. It's on Thanksgiving. It's the Ottawa Redblacks facing the Montreal Alouettes. Ottawa with a loss would be out of playoff contention. Montreal, they're trying to secure a home playoff date. So that's the weekend. That is the weekend in the CFL. It's a big week. These next few weeks are going to be huge. And again, for the Stampeders, I mean, it's going to come down to next Friday. They have a bye this week, so next Friday against the Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Will they keep their 1% playoff chances alive, or will we be sitting there on Wednesday talking about this season in a review? Because once the Stamps are out officially, I will be doing my season review the week following. So that's going to be it. But For all I know, I mean, with my luck, Calgary may just win out and make a playoff spot, and we're just going to have to delay this season review, and we're going to have to be doing the playoff preview for the teams and the games that are going to be on. But not an easy schedule for Calgary. They got Saskatchewan obviously next week, and then BC, and then Winnipeg. And BC and Winnipeg, they will be playing their starters for sure because they are both fighting for that first spot in the West Division. So as much as if Calgary wins next week's game and keeps their chances alive, yeah, the next two games, the final two games there, will not be easy. And with how Calgary has been playing and with how that offense has been performing, I don't have that much hope that a win will be in the cards. But who knows? Stranger stuff has happened before in the CFL. And this is the CFL, so we're going to have to wait and see. But that will do it for this episode 17 of the Redzone Podcast. Until next week, have a great Thanksgiving weekend with your families, and we'll see you next time. Peace.